I'm out of breath. For years, I have shamelessly loved a basic, boring, brown eyeshadow palette. And this year, 2025, we've taken it to new levels because not only do I still love my basic, boring brown eyeshadow palettes, but I've gotten more into eyeshadow sticks and single shadows. So the palettes that I've been reaching for have been more basic and boring than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, for today's video, I am going to be giving you my top 10 neutral eyeshadow palettes for 2025. I have been doing this video for years, and I was looking back at some previous year's selections. We have some palettes that are making a reappearance. We also have some brand new palettes that launched this year. But these are the neutral palettes that I have reached for the most this year that I think are the highest quality. And if you are also a basic, boring palette lover like myself, these are all palettes that I recommend, and all great palettes to start off with to have those basic shadow shades that I think are necessary for any makeup collection. You don't need all of them because it's a lot of basic brown shades, but hopefully I can share with you my favorites and why. And if you are looking to invest in a great quality, universal, basic eyeshadow palette that you're going to use all the time, I've got all of them here for you. So the order I'm going in today, it's not anything particular other than alphabetical by brand, because there's a few brands you'll see that stand out as having my favorite formulas. Let's get into it, my fellow basic boring gals. So the first palette that I have, this is the one that was added at the very, very last minute, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I didn't start reaching for this again until probably last month, but it has stayed right next to me and I can't stop using it. It's just so high quality, and it is an oldie but a goodie. This might be one that you already have in your collection. This is the ABH Soft Glam palette. You heard that right. And you know what? With the basic looks that I've been doing, where I just want a wash of color in the crease, an eyeliner shade, a dark brown shade for a little bit of extra va-va-voom, I love the tones that this Soft Glam palette has. I mean, look at all of these browns. This used to be the palette that I used a lot in my makeup kit when I was a bridal makeup artist because these are beautiful bridal tones. But we have warm brown shades, some more neutral shades, all the way down to a brown. I love the light cream shades, and the shimmers are very, very pretty as well. But it is this row down here that is very much within the range of colors that I've been using and reaching for a lot this year. You'll notice the more neutral matte tones are what I'm into. And you know what? Even as the years have passed, ABH still has a great eyeshadow formula. It is a bit powdery, let's say that, and very, very pigmented. So while I wouldn't say the formula is outdated, with the trends of formulations, I would say what is popular with eyeshadow quality has shifted a bit. This is like wham bam pigment, lots of fallout, gotta tap off your brush. But at the same time, I love that you can just build it up so quickly. In fact, it doesn't even need built up, and these blend very easily. So this is one where I'm like, if you want to dig in your collection and pull out just a great basic palette, go towards this one. They do now have a mini version available as well. And they phased out a lot of eyeshadow palettes in the ABH lines in terms of being sold at Sephora and Ulta. But this is the one that I believe is still sold at most of them. So this has been a goodie. I rediscovered it. It's amazing. The next one is a new one that launched this year. This is a brand, new formula to me, and it really has knocked my socks off. This is from the Vanngo beauty line. This is the new neutral Color Eye Story palette. Now, there are a ton of different color stories that you can get from the Vanngo line. This is by far, look at me, this is by far the best one. There's something in the way that these colors were selected where they each serve a purpose. And I swear there's something about the quality in this that's even better than the other color stories in this range. We have everything ranging from a cream to a very, very dark brown. The shimmers in here are worth mentioning because some of them have a very twinkly effect. It's a very different formula than what you're going to get with the ABH. This one is more sheer and buildable. You get less fallout with this one. but it's going to be like a wash, and then you can build it up if you need. So completely different of what you might be used to when it comes to ABH. But I also I can't talk today, Jose. But I also think the tones in here are incredible. You can tell that these were selected by a makeup artist. Each shade has a purpose of being in here, and this little 8-pan palette is definitely mighty. If you love a good basic neutral palette, I think you'll enjoy this one a lot, especially with like a sparkly eyelid. You know what I mean? This next brand has 3 different palettes, so if you watch my channel, you know this is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette brands. If you are looking to start off an eyeshadow, I'm not going to say collection, but you're looking to invest in a good eyeshadow palette that is going to be reliable, that you want to use every single day, my friends, may I introduce you to Natasha Denona? I don't want to hold them up because I want a little bit of an element of surprise here, but let's talk about 3 palettes from the brand that are neutral that I've been reaching for all year. I actually want to start off with my most used palette in 2025. I'm not even kidding. This is the palette that I used the most. I have literally 2 of them. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Eye Sculpt. Now, the reason that I use this so much is I use it in my makeup routine about every day. At least one shade. The reason being, because this is as boring and as basic as it can get. If I need something to brighten, to highlight, I'll use this. If I need the most basic shadow shade in my crease, I'll use these 2. If I need to either line or give a little bit of depth, I'll go for this. If I need a black liner, I go for this shade. This has every basic shade that I need. It was so well loved that Natasha even came out with entire 2 big palettes, the Eye Sculpt Tone and Texture palettes, which are not in today's video, by the way. As good as those palettes are, they don't beat any of the ones that I'm mentioning today. Just FYI. But when this came out, nobody was excited. I even admitted you probably don't need it, but it's so tiny. I just leave it beside my desk, and it's become one of my most used eyeshadow palettes. Now, I don't create full looks with this very often. I could if I wanted to, but this has been just for little bits and pieces of color when I needed them. This has had those basic shades that are necessary in any makeup routine / collection. Now, the big guns. Natasha Denona is more known for her larger palettes. Now, this one is an old one, and the brand has changed since this launch, but you can still get this, so I still want to recommend it because I still think it's one of the best neutral palettes out there. Natasha Denona Biba. This has been on and off my top 10 neutral palette lists over the years, and I just keep going back to it because it has the best shades and the best formula. It's a little bit warmer, minus the bottom row here, but all of these shades, I mean, there's nothing new here based on what I've already showed you, though it does have that very nice, very cool toned row right here. This is like a little bit more bronzy. This one is a little bit more warm and red, but you're getting best of the best quality when it comes to this palette. And I'm not even talking about best of the best from Natasha Denona. I'm talking about what's available on the market. These are very big pans. This will last you forever. And the shimmers in here are also extremely gorgeous. So I think this is easily one of the best ones for full looks. Like a lot of these I've used as background shades for other looks. This is the palette where you can get full looks and have the most versatility while still being very, very neutral. But if you've never tried this, I highly recommend. Now, one of the newer-ish ones that I really, really love if you're into golden looks, I ended up really enjoying and loving and using quite often the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. Now, this launched last year, but the colors in here have carried well into this year for me because it's very much my vibe of the colors that I've been loving. So, of course, you get that great Natasha Denona formula. The one negative I would say about this is you don't get a lot of variety in the looks that you can get. Like Biba, you can get some variety. With this one, you are a little bit more limited. Like I find a number of my looks tend to look the same when I use this palette. But the thing is, it's kind of okay because I love the looks that I get from this palette. First of all, it has those really fantastic basic brown shades that I love for every look, but it also has these gorgeous glimmery, shimmery, golden tones here. You get some different textures here as well, which is really, really fun. And when it launched, it was a palette that I was like, you know, you don't need it. It's not necessarily special, but time tells all. And let me tell you, over time, this is a palette. Oh my gosh. Don't cheat. Don't look at the mirror of what's to come. But over time, you know, I've continuously reached for it because I love the looks that I got from it and get from it. So yeah, I just use it a lot. I mean, that's that. Okay, next. This one is fairly new. It launched this quarter, but dang, I haven't been able to put it down. It's just so good. I have to mention it, and it is the perfect explanation of how I've been telling you I've been wearing my makeup looks. Like, this is what I've been utilizing. This is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension Essential Artistry Edit Eyeshadow Palette. There's actually 3 different colors available of this, and this is probably the last thing that you need if you have a lot of neutral palettes, but I would be lying if I didn't say I haven't reached for this a ton. Now, this is the light one. I think the medium and deep one are also really good. You're going to have to see which one best fits your needs. I think, honestly, if I had the medium, I might have even loved it more, but it doesn't matter because I don't need like a black or a super dark brown all the time with those simple looks that I'm doing where it's like a shimmer shadow all over the lid and then I just use these as background shades. What I have enjoyed about this palette are these contoury background sculpting shades for my crease that aren't harsh, because a lot of times I do reach for a deeper color in my crease, and this has showed me I don't need to go that dark. You can get a pretty shadow by just using these light shades. These are also a super buttery formula. They're actually quite similar to the Soft Glam, a little less fallout, but not that much different, a little bit more creamier. These are amazing. I mean, I love this formula. I love how buttery these are. And this has opened my eyes and kind of changed a little bit the shades that I've used in my crease. Extremely high quality, nice and small, very, very boring. But back to the basics, I've been using it a ton. Now, this next brand, well, this particular palette, it's a rite of passage to always end up in this video. But I mean, even now, more than ever, with me loving a good matte neutral palette, Viseart Neutral Mattes. The packaging looks different now. This is the older packaging, which I love. Their new packaging. It's half the product, half the price, because this is quite an expensive palette, but you get the exact same quality and exact same Viseart formula. Viseart has been used on set for years, many, 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 many years by makeup artists. And I mean, there's nothing special to this palette other than it's every shade you need that is basic. I mean, in every tone, undertone, and then from every depth, it is a makeup artist forward layout here and packaging here, even with the newer packaging as well. And this has been a palette that I've recommended in this video and many, many, many more for many years, but it is still a palette that I continue to use consistently today. I will say, when I pulled out ND Sculpt, I've been using this one a little bit more, but I think these are a little bit creamier. It's just been accessibility-wise. Natasha Denona has been beside me, but obviously you get a little bit more with this palette and more shades that you can build and layer with the different undertones. So it is like the ND on crack, basically. I wasn't sure if that was offensive to say, but you get the idea, okay? Love that palette. Have recommended it for years, but we are not done with Viseart because they have killed it this year with their launches, or shall I say relaunches. So they came out and relaunched after these sold out. The new Eat and Do palettes, which they've launched a few following this, but this launch that they did this summer was incredible, and unfortunately both of these are sold out. That's why I added 11 palettes in today's video, because I felt bad that these were sold out, especially since I'm wearing one of them. But this is what I want from Viseart. With their newer launches, I feel like they kind of stepped away from the plot, from what the core of the brand was, and then they came out with these, and I was just reinvigorated by the brand again. So we'll talk about the one that I'm wearing. This is the Praline Eat and Do. I'm going to try not to brag about it too much since they're not bringing it back in stock. I don't know why. Viseart. But anyways, for today's look, I just started off with this cream shade, and I use that as my base layer underneath my brow bone in the inner corner. And then I went in with this shade right here, and this is what I used as the background shade, the crease shade. You can see it peeking through in my look as well. And then I deepened a little bit, especially along the lower lash line with a dark brown liner. And so I put that along my lower lash line and then also blended that in my crease. I left my eyelid bare because I went in with this shade right here, which is not my favorite in this palette. This is the one shade that's a little bit on the dry side, but unfortunately it's the most gorgeous taupe ever. So I had to wet my brush, but we got there. We got the effect that we wanted. I love this shade for how beautiful it is. I just wish it was creamier, but I don't have that problem with any other shade. Anyways. And then I did use this shade right here. I don't think I showed it on camera, but this is my liner that I kind of blended over top of a dark brown pencil liner. And this is just basic Morgan Favorites 101. These have all of the tones that I love. I love that there's taupiness, there's some golden tones in here as well. And then of course you get that superb Viseart quality. And this is the packaging that the palettes are now sold in, which is smaller, and it just makes more sense. Now, if you're into browns, this one's for you, but I do have a more mauve-y one that they launched. This is the Lilas Lumiere Isenzu Visi Pro palette. Now, this one is definitely more cool toned. It's most of the palettes that I'm talking about today, they lean more brown, but this one doesn't lean quite as brown, but it's still neutral-ish nonetheless, or it's just my cheat palette. Let me have this here, but this you get really ethereal, cool tone looks with, and some of the looks that I've gotten with this are like, so good and effortless. I've been loving that effortless eyeshadow look where even if I did put 10 eyeshadows on my eyelid, you can't really tell because I just look like I popped like 2 shades on and called it a day. This palette is the expert of that look for more icy princess vibes, especially with this pink here, a little bit of this in the crease, a little bit of this in the outer corner. I love the tones here. I feel like it's a unique palette and a unique tone, even though that's totally not the case, but that's how I feel. And again, that amazing Viseart quality. So Viseart, we've continued to launch palettes following the launch of these. But why not these? Because these are easily some of the best palettes that have launched this year. If you're into the looks and tones and kind of vibe that I'm into. Where are they at, Viseart? Where are they at? The last 2 eyeshadow palettes that I'm mentioning today, they are very simple. They are both quads. They are luxury, but here is my thoughts when it comes to luxury eyeshadows. I'm not saying they're worth it, but I am saying they better blend themselves out. And that is how I feel about this formula. You can get an effortless neutral look without putting any effort into it. You can just slap them on with a brush and your eye look instantly looks blended and chic. And you can get that from the YSL Couture Mini Clutch Quads. Not only are the... Catching my breath. It's getting harder to film when the baby's in your lungs. I have to take so many breathing breaks, guys, when I'm filming, because the baby's butt is quite literally in my lungs. Packaging, amazing, stunning, luxury. At least you're getting a little bit of what you pay for, which is packaging. This is Storadol's number 100. So this one is if you're into more of those neutral leaning cool toned colors. And there's these beautiful satin shades, which you can do whatever you want with. Put them all over the lid, put them all over the crease. The perfect deepening tone, and then the most beautiful textured sparkly shade that you can put all over the lid. But then, and these were in last year's favorites too, I believe. That's how good they are. This is 710. Now this one has a slightly more camel, warm leaning neutral tone to it, but both are equally as beautiful. It just depends what tone you want. But sometimes, you know, you don't want too many options of too many shades. And the more simple the look you can put together is, because the palette is more simple, the better. You don't have to think about it. You have the look all laid out for you, and that's how I feel about these YSLs. Even though I love the creative aspect of makeup and having lots and lots of shades available to me to give me some versatility, sometimes I don't want to think and I just want to look at a little quad and know what I'm getting out of it. And that's how I feel about these YSL palettes. And then I also feel like they just apply themselves. They blend themselves. Super effortless, super chic, super buildable. The definition of what I would expect from a luxury price point when it comes to makeup. And there we have it. Those are my top, I'm going to say 10 in the title, but it's 11 because I'm a cheater Peter. My top 11 neutral eyeshadow palettes of 2025. As a girl who's been very basic this year, I've been loving single shadows and using my palettes to kind of finish off those looks, keeping the looks very simple, matte. These are the palettes that I've been reaching for those basic background shades. And that is what is different about this year's compared to previous years. You know, in previous years, I was all about the palettes. This year, I'm not. I'm all about what glitter eyeshadow can I put all over my lid, what eyeshadow stick can I put all over my lid, but how can I give my eyes a good background? The majority of these, you can get that background that I'm looking for to give a really effortless, easy look, even if it's not quite so effortless to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this year's top 10 palettes of neutrals. If you are also very basic and boring like me, let me know in the comments. No shame in our brown game, okay? I have tried to play a little bit with color, but at the end of the day, I feel the most confident. I always come back to a simple neutral look, and these are the best of the best as somebody who has tried pretty much everything out there. These are the ones that I recommend. So as always, I will have them linked down below for you guys, as well as everything else that I'm wearing. I have some new products on my face that I'm testing that are currently, you know, being tested for speed reviews and whatnot, but also some of my favorites on here. So make sure you're subscribed to hear my thoughts, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.
It's delicious.